All right, so let's go ahead and make some blend shapes in order to control our facial expressions. So I'm going to go ahead and unreference this, make sure it's live. I'm going to select this. We're going to go to deform. You're going to choose blend shape, hit the option box. Just go to edit and reset settings, make sure there's nothing in there, and we'll just call this face blends. And the rest of that should be good. Go ahead and hit create, and now you'll see you'll have another node. So you have the skin cluster node, you have the geometry, and face blends. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and make those blends. So go to where are you? Windows, animation editors, and shape editor, and that will bring up the blend shape section. Okay, so basically we are on the face blends right here. So you can create a blend shape, which is what we just did. What we want to do is add more targets inside of this blend shape. If you do not want to make new blend shapes for each one because they'll actually combat each other. If you do targets, they will be additive. So go ahead and click add target. All right, and I'm just going to go ahead and rename this, and we will call this mouth wide. And you can see right now it's in like recording mode. See how it says edit? So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I want to put symmetry on, and we're going to turn joints off. So let's go to show, because we don't need joints at all for this. Actually, we'll do none, and then we'll do show, viewport, and let's choose polygons. Where are you? Rigging animation, surfaces, polygons. Okay. And we're going to go to vertex. And what I want you to do is just, I'm going to grab the corner here, and we're just going to try and make more or less a wide shape. So when you do this, the mouth should go back, and we're just going to go back and around sort of like that. All right. It's a little bit low, so sort of like something like this. So it's there and there. Okay, so something sort of like that. Let me put this off so you can kind of see. Now, you could also go through and use your sculpting technique. So I can use this here, and we'll just make this a little bit bigger, and I'll make it a lot more weak. And I'm just going to kind of puff the cheek out here a little bit. We'll hold shift to smooth a little bit, just so that it gets a little bit of a stronger nasolabial fold. All right. So then we'll hit Q, and you'll see that we have something like that. That feels a little bit too puffy. Let's just go ahead and smooth that a little bit. So, okay, we'll say something like that. I'm not going to spend forever on it, but it's a little bit too much. So something like that, so that you have the mouth going back, and that would be my mouth wide. Okay. Now, just so you can see, if I go like this, go back to normal and mouth wide. So you can see we have the shape on and off. Okay. Let's turn it all the way off. I'm going to click off edit. So now we're not editing it. Let's add another shape. We're going to add another target. We're going to double click. I'm going to call this one mouth narrow. Okay. You can see again, we're in edit and it's all the way on. And we're going to do the opposite. We're going to basically pucker kind of the lips. It's not really pucker per se, but you get kind of the idea. So we're going to go like this, and I'm going to do W, and we're going to move it up. And oh, I do not have symmetry on for some reason. I thought that was on from the beginning. So we'll kind of go up and in a little bit. Let's go like this. Pull this out. I'm going to double click this edge loop and just kind of push this a little bit, because you would lose a little bit of mass. Oops, Q. Go back to, okay, I meant to go to vertex. There we go. Grab this guy again and soft select again. And I'm just trying to more or less get this to be sort of as inwards as possible. Let's grab this whole thing and let's just scale it a little bit. That's annoying. Let's turn this off. Grab again. Here we go. Scale this in a little bit. So something like that. And I keep meaning to go to vertex. Okay. And turn that off, W, just because this looks a little bit inwards, which looks a little weird. Okay. So basically something like that. So it's better to go too extreme than not extreme enough. So again, you can see we can go like this. All right. So I'm going to turn edit off. Now, what you're going to notice is I could go all the way from narrow. I could blend this off and then put this up. And you can see it's all one kind of motion. So most of your shapes that you're going to see is you would have them, you'd have multiple versions. So you'd have basically opposing ones. So I would make ones for the inner brow down and inner brow up, right? And then you go up and down, and I have outer brow up and down. Sometimes people do a middle one as well. You could do nostrils. With the lips, there's quite a few of them you can do where you can purse the lips. We're just going to do the 2 here because I don't want to spend forever on it. I just want you to get the idea. There's lots of books that will cover this in great detail. So if rigging is something you want to do, the number one, there aren't a lot of good 3D books. I would say there's very, very few actually. The one book that I would suggest is Stop Staring by Jason Osipa. That is a very good book, and it doesn't talk. It talks a little bit about how to physically do it, the practical side, but more it's about the theory side of it, about making proper blend shapes, particularly for the face. Okay, so I'm just going to say that that's good enough for my targets. Now, what you could do is you can animate them. So you can see here's the key right here, and you would key it, but this would be a little bit annoying to animate with. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to make a controller that allows us to animate the cheeks. Okay, so we could do this any number of ways. I'm just going to show you one way because it's a more fun way. So I'm going to close that out, and what we're going to do is this. I'm going to hit space bar. Let's go to the front. Actually, stay in this perspective for a second. We're going to create NURBS primitives and do circle. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up, bring it forward. Let's scale it so I can see it. Oh, you know why I can't see it? Because I don't have everything on. So go to show, do all. There we go. Scale it up and bring this over. And again, we're going to want to rotate this 90 degrees. So I'm just going to hold J to do increment like that. Okay. And let's put this a little bit back and over. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do this one. Back and over this way. So it's kind of to the side of the face. Normally I put this like in a whole different thing, but we're just going to kind of go with this. So then we go to control. Actually, I'm going to take this guy and see, it's sort of annoying. Yeah, we'll just do it like this. Okay. We'll grab these, and I'm going to let's grab all of these, and we're going to scale these in like so. Grab just these and scale these in. Grab these ones and scale them a little bit wider. So we end up with a shape a little bit more like that. This could definitely, come on, object mode. Object mode. Okay, and I'm just going to scale a little down a little bit. And we'll scale a little bit wider. Something like that. Okay. And we'll just call this mouth narrow wide boundary underscore CRV. Okay. Let's go ahead and create another curve. So create NURBS primitives, and that's not what I meant to be. Create NURBS primitives circle, and same thing as before. I'm going to move it up, and we're going to move it over, and I'm going to hit frame so I can see a little bit better. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. It's quicker just to do it that way. Scale it up so it's roughly that size, we'll say. And I want to try and line it up with this as best I can. So this is one of those things where I would be a lot more exact about it, like if I was actually doing this for a job, but for you guys, I think it's fine just to do this, just so you get the concept of how it works. A little bit bigger. Okay. And we'll call this, mouth narrow wide controller underscore CRV. Okay. Looks good. Let's just go ahead and color these real quick. Enable overrides, and we'll just do these a little bit. We'll do it like that, and I'll take this one, enable overrides, and we'll do, I don't know, like that. Right? It doesn't have to be anything too special, but we'll say something like that. Okay. I'm going to grab both of these and do modify freeze transformations. And I'm going to grab them again and just hit Control G. And we'll just call this the blend shape controller underscore GRP. Okay. Great. And I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to parent it to this one, P. Okay, so basically you have this will move both of them. This one's inside of it, but both of those are inside of this. Okay, hopefully you can kind of get the idea of how that works. Okay, So what we're going to do is we're going to tie this to this. So the way we're going to do that is this. Let me see. Yeah, this is going to be annoying. I was hoping I'd do it a different way, but I think we'll just do it this way. So what we're going to do is you're going to go to Windows, Animation Editor. It's not in there. Go to Animation, Key, Set, Driven Key, and Set. It's going to open up this box. Basically, you have a driver and a driven. The driver is the thing that it's almost like the output, and then this is what gets affected by it. So we're going to grab this guy, and we're going to load driver. We're going to have this that when we do certain actions with it, it drives certain motions. Okay. Then we're going to grab this, but I need the that's weird. Why did those get added? I need the face blends in particular. So I'm select that and load driven, and then I can see the face blends right here. And basically, I want to use this thing's what axis is that? This thing's X translate X, the back and forth this way to drive this. So we're going to select that. We're going to select translate X, and what we're going to do is we're going to key a position that says when it's in this position, they should both have this value. Both these blend shapes should be this value. So we're going to hit key. Okay. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to have it, I'm going to grab this, I want to move it in. So we'll say minus 13. So whatever number yours ends up being, just do kind of a clean, even number. You'll see why in a little bit. It'll just be a little bit easier. So we're going to say 13. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say narrow should have a value of 1. So it's all the way on. Select both of them. Okay. So basically that one's 0, that one's on, and we'll hit key. So you'll see that when this is 0, it'll look like this, but when it's got this negative 13, it will look like that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this at a positive 13. Okay, we'll just do 12. I didn't do a very good job of centering this, so we'll just say 12. Okay. And then we're going to say, okay, this is at 12. Now I'm going to go here. I'm going to make the mouse wide a value of 1, right? So that this is all the way on, and then we'll hit key. So now you'll see if I grab this, when I go this way, I can do it all in one foul swoop. It'll go all the way from wide to narrow. But you can see you can kind of move this around. Let's zero this back out. You can kind of move it around, and that's a little bit annoying. So what we're going to do is we're going to limit this. So with this selected, go to the attribute editor. Usually we've been doing everything in the shape node. Look, it already knew to go here. So go to the not shape node of it. Go to limit information. And we want to limit not the rotates, but the translates. And we're going to do the translate limit X. We want to be able to go to minus 13. That's as far over as it goes, to a max of 12. Okay. So now you'll see when I go like this, it can only go up to 12 and it can only go down to minus 13. So it's stuck. Okay. Now, I don't want to be able to move it in those other axes. It's not that big. We can close out of this. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to do it this way. You could do it that way, but that's not really necessary. Instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to lock the rest of these. So I'm just going to click and drag all the rest of these. We're going to right click and we're going to do lock and hide. Those will now go away. So now only translate X is available to us. Okay. And we can move this around wherever we want. But wherever this gets moved to, this will always, just because it's parented to it, will only go to that. Okay. So the idea is, and you would make these unselectable, make them like, you could permanently template them. So if we have this selected and then we go over here and let me see, it's a display, drawing overrides, enable overrides. Instead of display point normal, you do template. Okay. And now when I do template, if I click off, you'll see you can't, oh, hang on. Enable overrides. What did I template? Now I'm wondering what I did. Template, click off. There you go. Now I can't select it, but you will see it there. I wonder, does it have, oops, let's undo that. Okay. Does it have, oh, it has reference. That way I can keep the, oh, see, but it makes it black. So, yeah, it's up to you. But now I can't select that and I don't accidentally like select the background. But if I need to move them all, I can grab this, which I'm going to modify center pivot real quick. Center pivot. So I can move them all using this group. But I would have basically all of my blend shapes tied to this. So you can make this one for the mouth, and then I could have ones for the eyebrows, and the different ones. Anyone that has an opposing one. You can even do this. Some people, and I've done this on them as well, you can actually just put the circle here and just have it when you pull it this way, it goes wide. When you push it forward, it goes normal. So you could do kind of, or it goes narrow. You could kind of actually do on face controls, but I actually find those not as good because what ends up happening is you end up, they're distracting. Most of the time you're going to see when you see really nice rigs, what they'll do is they'll have a second camera. Let's grab a front. And the camera will be locked onto this. And the idea is that you would be working over here while having the other camera on all the controls. And you'd use this and then look at your character over here as you were animating. That's usually the way that it works. And let's the graphic back to top. Okay. All right. That's all I want. I just want you to make the blend shape and then just hook up one controller. If you want to do more, you can. You could look it up online. Typically, you could do a large number of blend shapes. So for a typical character that I was going to do, I usually have around 60 blend shapes on a character. But if you look at like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, which is over 20 years old, they had over 2,000 blend shapes for his face. So if that gives you a perspective on how many you could create in order to create like the nuance and things. You could get really into the weeds with this, but this is how you create better facial animation. You can do it through joints as well. You'll find that I would say that most current games that you play, most of those are actually using joints and not blend shapes. But most films that you're going to be seeing will be using blend shapes. But you can also use a combination of both, but there are other issues with that. Hopefully that makes sense. That is it. That's the end of the course. That was all of it. So, you're probably going to want to take this blend shape controller and put this in. So you can either have it move with the rig if you want, or have it not move with the rig. It's up to you. But you'd want to put it either in that transform group, probably in the transform group, or you could take that blend shape controller and then parent it. Like if you want to stick with the head, I could just grab that group and then just parent it to this. And that way, whenever I move the head, that controller moves with it. So it's kind of up to you how you want to do it. But make sure that they are all underneath that one node, because you don't want to have this floating around either, just like everything else should be floating around. But now you have a complete rig of the character that you made. So they are hopefully fully animatable. Like I said, if you want to do more robust blend shapes, you can. I just didn't want to. It could take a really long time to make those, and I just didn't want to make this super long. One of the things I try to do with my classes is actually make them more difficult in the beginning and make them easier as they go. So because I know you guys are getting slammed right now. So hopefully that works. If you have any questions, let me know. Good luck.